Hey everybody, this is Nathan Young, founder of More Leads Online. Today I'm with Mark Jones, who is a pool pro from, I better get this right, New Orleans. Cool. I get flack, right? New Orleans, New Orleans, New. Uh,
New Orleans is good.
there you go. Okay. So Mark, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. My first question is, how did you get into pool cleaning?
Man, I got into pool cleaning a very interesting way. It never happens how you plan. I bought a house with a pool because my wife wanted a pool. So we were looking for houses only with pools. And we found one and we bought it. We closed on it. And I told my wife, I told her that I am young enough, smart enough, and fit enough to take care of the pool. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. I got it. So it took me about a full year to learn the pool because when we bought the house, we bought it in the wintertime and the pool was beautiful. It was blue and algae doesn't grow in the cold. So for the first 4 or 5 months, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a breeze, man. Like, but look, the pool was never turned on, but it was blue. But once the heat started to kick in, that's when it was like, oh, okay, you got to figure this stuff out. So I didn't even know how to turn the joint on. And then my uncle came by and helped me out with that. But how I got into it was after I figured out my pool, my neighbor across the street was like, hey, Mark, who cleaned your pool? And I said, man, I clean my own pool. And he said, man, I'm not satisfied with my guy. How about this? I'm going to pay you what I pay him, and I provide all the chemicals. You just come over here when you can and clean the pools. No worries. I know where you live. You're right across the street. So it's not going to be like, so that was my first account per se.
Right.
And then after I got fired from my corporate job, that's where I just took it serious and said, you know what, I'm gonna make this into a business, and that's how I got into the pool industry.
Man, so you told me we were doing the pre-show and you told me I have to dig into this right now. Normally I save marketing talk for a little bit later, but the way that you went about getting started was so fascinating to me. And you mentioned that it some of the lessons sort of came from some of your previous jobs, but like walk me through the process of you being like finding those initial customers, how you did that. You told me and I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I walked through the process. So like you just said, my previous jobs gave me the knowledge to attack it the way I attacked it. So I used to work at Apple, and I was at Apple when Google Maps came out and the satellite view came out. So when I told myself that I was going to go into business for myself, the first thing I did, I didn't even think twice about this. I was like, well, the only way I can tell who has a pool is I need to go on Google Maps and go into change from the map version to the satellite version so I can see the backyards.
Yeah.
And all I did was I zoomed out and I just saw pools all over the place, like all over the place. Just in my subdivision alone,
Right.
there was 38 pools. And I did the math. I said, man, all I need is 12 to 15 pools to bring in what I was already making at my corporate job. And I'll be working 2 to 3 days a week doing that. So my thing was, I know more people need help because my neighbor needs help. So I know that I can get 15 other customers. I mean, that's simple. So all I did, I zoomed out, and I just identified all the green pools that were on the satellite because I knew for sure that they needed my help. The blue
Right.
pools, honestly, at the beginning, looking at the map, the blue pools, I was actually kind of intimidated by those because I didn't have all the knowledge that I had now. So going into a backyard with a crystal clear pool, probably the homeowner knows a little bit more about the pool than I do. And I didn't want to look, I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was talking about. But the people with green pools, I knew they had no clue. And
Right.
I knew whatever I said, was probably going to be more than what they knew. So that's how I identified my target market. And I just made flyers on Microsoft Word, passed them out to those exact homes. And within a matter of a week, I was up to 5 accounts, just like that. And I was like, and once I figured that out, I said, man, this about to be it. I told my wife, I said, man, it can't be this easy. And she was like, I mean, that was a great strategy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's how I pretty much grew my business.
As a marketing guy, as someone who literally does marketing strategy with people sometimes every couple of days, right? Like, yeah, we're running the work, but then we'll do like a deeper dive into like a marketing strategy, real one. I just had a conversation on Friday with a guy where we were breaking down like long-term ROI versus short-term ROI and like what the different tactics are, right? Like, oh, you need sales really fast and you want a short-term ROI, et cetera, et cetera. So we're diving into all these tactics, and I actually brought you up. And I was like, you want to hear an example of a killer good short-term ROI? Like, this dude nailed it. And I told him your story, and he was like, I don't think I've ever considered doing something like that pointed. Lots of people will back up, right? If you're talking to me, like I am intimidated about the idea of getting new customers. I loved what you said a minute ago, which is like 15 customers. That's easy.
It's not.
I just love your moxie, right? Like, not everybody has that. I don't have that. That's why I love talking to guys like you. So anyway, just the sheer genius of what you just did. You probably know it now, but even the first time I heard it, I was like, man, that is so good. It's so good.
In hindsight, looking back at it, I was just in grind mode, honestly. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use the technology that's available to me, and use it to my advantage. And instead of just blindly passing out flyers to houses, let's really be strategic about this and really like, okay, let's go to the houses with pools, and that's step one. And that's how it started. And I only did that one summer. After that one summer, everything else is word of mouth.
That was going to be my next question is, okay, so now what do you do with blue pools?
Right. So what do you mean? What do you do with blue pools?
Well, so what I mean is, you told me, right? And I experienced this exactly the same way that you just described. So it's a little bit of a relief to hear you say it.
Okay.
And you were like, look, I went after the customers with green pools because I knew that I could help. I was a little intimidated by those sparkly blue pools because I wasn't sure that I had value to bring yet. And I didn't want to be perceived as sort of not knowing what was going on. So now clearly, right, you're crushing it. And I've watched you clean pools, right, on on your videos. And I'm like, this dude knows what he's doing. So now you get to walk in to the sparkly blue pools. What's your perspective on that now? Do you feel like, oh yeah, I got this?
Yeah. It's honestly, there's now there's not one backyard that I can walk into and say, this is too much for me, or I can't take this on. The thing is, now with the knowledge that I have, because the focus was, when I first started cleaning pools, was to master water chemistry. I didn't know anything about repairs. I don't know anything about motors. I don't know anything about filters. But what I did know is, if you can master water chemistry, then everything else will take care of itself. Like, you can get away with a little more, because at least you know how water chemistry works. So that was the main focus, to master that part. And then after that, that's where the repair knowledge came in, the plaster work came in. And I just started to build off of the knowledge. So I didn't go into it, honestly, I went into it with a game plan, but it was more of, hey, Mark, you're just going to fail forward and just continue to learn. And eventually you'll get to the point where you want to be, but you have to put yourself in a vulnerable position to be able to fail, to learn these pools, because you'll never learn if you don't make a mistake here or there. Because one thing about me, and I learned this in the car business, when I was selling cars, is yeah, I'll make one mistake, but I won't duplicate that mistake again. So I just got better and better and better at selling cars. And within 1 year selling cars, I was a top salesman. I was one of the top salesmen in the nation in 1 year, because my whole mindset was it was perfection. It was, I'm gonna ask these questions, I'm gonna get you where I need you to go, and it's up to you to sign on a dotted line, but I'm gonna do everything that I can to get you there, to make it seem comfortable so you can buy the car. And I just applied that to the pool business. So when I walk into a backyard and it's crystal clear, it's like, okay, now I can maintain this. This is easy because it's already set up for me to succeed. So now I could just, I could just go into it. So, but it was just learning as I go. And honestly, it was just putting myself in a position to fail, because that's the only way you're going to grow in business. You have to make mistakes. You have to get feedback from people to tell you, hey, man, I didn't, you could have done it like this. I like it like this. And you just take all that information and you just continue to build your business model until it gets to a point where it's smooth, it's automatic, because it's only so many mistakes or so many things that you have to check off until you really find your groove. And I knew that. So I knew at one point I'm gonna get to a point where I'm gonna master this thing. Right. So once I made those little mistakes here or there, I came into the mastery part of it. And now it's like, man, water chemistry, I know it like this. And I have an app to help me. So this is not all in my head. I'm using the technology that's out there to help me with it, but it's the process that I use, which really where I got most of the success from.
You dropped a whole bunch of nuggets in that. Something that I caught that I want to hone in on just for a second that you said, you said, when you walk in and you see this crystal clear pool, now you go, oh, I can maintain this because now I'm set up for success. And to me, that tells me something else, which is there's more work to be done. There's work to be done still. Yes, it might look like it's all taken care of, but if you don't actively work on that thing, it's gonna go right back to gross, right? So like, it's intimidating at first when you don't know, but one of the things you've actually learned is a pristine pool actually needs work done still, because otherwise it won't stay that way.
It won't. And the thing about water, its natural state is that green pool. It's always fighting to get back to that. So what we're doing is actually we're going against the grain. Every single week that I come into your backyard, I'm going against the grain to keep your pool crystal clear, because it's always fighting to get back to its natural state. It's crazy, right?
That's fascinating. I don't think anyone has ever told me that ever before.
Nope. It's always fighting to get back to its natural state. Water naturally, in whatever climate that you're in, I'm in the South, it's naturally going to go back to green because it's heat, it's just trees everywhere. Phosphates are always coming into the water from trees, from rain, all that stuff. So what we're doing is actually it's science. Honestly, every single week I'm coming into your backyard and I'm doing a science project to keep it like that for another week, and then I come back. So it's just continuing to do that. So yes, I go into a backyard. The pool might be crystal clear. So yeah, the pool is clear, but what about your filter? How does your filter look? Let's dig into that. When's the last time you changed your sand? What about your car? So it's more questions to be asked, because of a blue pool. The crystal clear pool doesn't mean much because it could turn in 1 week.
That's right.
If not properly treated. So yeah.
I tell people I'm a systems guy, I'm a process guy, and I regularly install processes and systems for other people. And when I start that work, every single time I have a go-to couple of phrases. And basically I go, look, processes and systems are just agreements that we all have with each other. They're just agreements. And if anybody disagrees, right, they can immediately do whatever else. That's all it is. We're just coming in, we're agreeing to all do what we're saying we'll do. And I was like, there's no value in installing a system if no one keeps it. That's the value of a process or a system, is sticking to it
Right.
over time. And that's exactly what you just said. Like, it's good now, and yeah, there can be a process in place, but if nobody shows up to do the work of the process, it'll turn in a week.
Exactly.
Man, killer. Well, you mentioned this, which is you have a fairly tough climate, I think, and you moved from LA to where you are. That's a pretty big climate shift, I think. So like, what do you deal with in your particular area that you think is like, that makes your job extra hard?
So it's not just the heat, but it's the humidity, which makes my job 10 times harder. Because it will be, let's say 90 degrees, but it will feel like it's 105, 106. So that's the feel. And then you're walking into, honestly, I open up my door, you're walking into a thick cloud of heat.
Oh.
So I'm talking about, Nathan, I'm talking about at 6 a.m. It's that hot. At 6 a.m., the sun isn't even out. So when you open your door, you feel that heat. It's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a long day. Let me get my big hat, right?
Right.
Big old hat. Let me get my liquids. Let me make sure I got my, my ice ready and everything, because I have to stay hydrated. That's one. I have so many. I stop at gas stations all the time, get my Powerades, my Red Bulls, my water, my ice. I'm always hydrated. So that's honestly the toughest part about being in New Orleans, cleaning the pools is the climate, it's the heat, it's the humidity. I say this all the time. It gets hotter. I feel like it gets hotter every single summer. And it's like, bro, when you gonna calm down, man? Like, when we gonna get back to 80 degrees and stuff? Because me, I'm from LA. So
right.
80, 85, and then at nighttime it gets cold, so that's the vibe, right?
Right.
It's not the vibe out here.
No. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I live in Minnesota right now, and I suspect that this won't change. I think we're headed that direction. I'm pretty into the idea of like net zero emissions and all of that conversation, and doing what I can to actually invest in that. But so I think it's going to keep getting hotter and colder. But I hadn't experienced that quite that way. And so we've been in Minnesota for about 6 months now. And people keep being like, oh, this is the coldest it's ever been. Oh, this is the hottest it's ever been. And I'm like, I thought we were moving to a more chill space. Like, what happened? Nope.
Yeah, man.
Well, I have to ask you about this. So let me pivot a little bit. You've done all of this awesome work. You've been at this for only a couple of years. And another thing that you just started recently is TikTok. And you have an insane TikTok following. I mean, you have 1.5 million, I think more than that now, 1.5 million subscribers. You've only been there for like a year. How and why? I know I already asked you this before, but so everybody else knows, like, how and why did you get started on TikTok?
Right. So I give the credit to one of my best friends, Cameron, man. He just texted me, like, it was like 11 p.m. He texted me and he was like, bro, are you on TikTok? And I'm like, yeah, I'm on TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok. Right. And all he did was he sent me a video of someone cleaning a pool. And that video had like 5 million views. And I'm sitting back like, so instantly, once he sent me that video and I saw the views and I saw the comments and I saw the likes, I sent him back another video that I did months ago. That was like, I said, bro, I've been doing this. He's like, man, just move your content from Instagram to TikTok and learn that platform. So my thing was, if there's pool videos getting that many views, if I marry that with my personality and my creativity, I'm pretty sure I'm going to succeed. So that's what I started to do. I just started to post. And everything I started to post was just me. honestly, it was just me having fun, me doing just pool stuff. And some videos, I'm just like playing basketball, and people are loving it. But I got my Blue Street Pool merch on, so you always know. And everything is always, tied back to pool cleaning some type of way. So, at first it was like, I'll post a video and I'll get like 100 views, whatever, 900 views. So it started real slow because I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking that once I post on here, I'm instantly going to go viral. But it didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that. Because I had to learn a little bit about the algorithm with TikTok and how to post successfully through TikTok, because you can't post it saying it's not the same method as Instagram. So you have to learn the platform. So, I followed, other guys on there who actually taught the algorithm and was like, hey, just do this, do this, do that. So I just started, honestly, just doing everything that would set me up for success for my videos. That's all I started to do. And everything I posted, I was like, okay, I got this checked off, got this checked off, got this post, and I just left it up to the people to decide what it was. And then one video, man, it was I just happened to be cleaning a green pool at a mansion in the east side of New Orleans. And but this time I actually gave the people the remedy. How am I doing this? What am I using? What are the steps? I gave it all away. And I was like, you know what? I don't even care. Like, I'm gonna give it all away because now we're in an age of sharing. Like the generation beneath us, because I'm 32, so my kids, the generation under me, they're in a sharing mindset. So I'm like, well, they got the post on this social media stuff. So I'm not going to be that guy like, oh no, I ain't. No, if that's the cheat code, I'm gonna just share all my information and just let it be what it is, because I have whatever, So I just gave out the information in that video. I put my phone, so I posted it. I put my phone down for like 5 minutes, picked it back up, 600,000 views. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, babe, I'm going viral, babe. I'm going viral. And so that one got up to like 50 million views. And I went from like 5,000 followers to 100,000 followers overnight, just like that. And then from there, I never looked back. And then everything else went viral. All my older videos went viral from that one. And I never looked back from there. And then, so now I have a following, I have fans, I have people that just love me, because the whole idea behind my page is I'm a pool pro. I'm going to tell you all the secrets that is going to save you money and help you rule your pool. That's my whole MO. There's nothing deeper than that. I'm not doing it for the industry. I'm doing it for the people, because there's pools out in, like, for example, Minnesota. There's pools out there.
Yeah.
But I bet there's not a lot of pool companies out there. So I'm doing it for the people in places like Minnesota, North Dakota, all these other states that don't have pool professionals out there to clean their pool, but they still have pools. Right. So let me show you how to take care of it. If you do these easy steps, you'll rule your pool. And I think that is what gave me all the success on social media. And then on top of that, the guy that's doing it is like, okay, I like him too. Let me follow him. So that's where, man, yeah, it hasn't even been, it's going to make a year. I'll be on TikTok. It'll make a year in August.
Dude, so
we're talking about 10 months.
Just bonkers. But actually, so you've held tight on this thing that you've said multiple times now, which is like, really, you kept failing forward. I mean, you took the shot. You said, like, you got on TikTok, you moved your content over there, which means you had already gone to Instagram to make some attempts there, right? You started making new content, you moved some of your older content, you relearned the platform, you were and you weren't just like learning, post, fail, give up. It was like learn, post, okay, learn, post, okay, learn, right? And you kept doing that cycle. And then the consistency was required. And the constantly getting better was required for you to have that moment. So people talk about like, what's that old quote? Like, I find the more I practice, the luckier I am. Like, I mean, that's exactly that. So you're so consistently, you're doing this cycle of like failing forward, and it keeps working eventually.
Yeah. I mean, eventually you're going to hit a ceiling where you can't fail anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And then from there, it's like, okay, now people just got to respond type deal, you know?
Right.
So, you know, that's with anything. That's what you can apply that to any method, no matter what it is. You keep trying. If you keep consistently getting better at something, right, you're going to be successful. Eventually it's going to happen. So I just use that in all parts of my life, from pool cleaning to Instagram to TikTok to even my family life, to be a better father. It's like, okay, Mark, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Maybe how about the next time you talk to your kids like this?
Right.
And you'll find success in that. So I apply that to all facets of my life because that's the formula and it works. So why try to recreate the wheel, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, it's awesome. And it's something key that you said in there is, because I have my own kids and I watch this happen sometimes. You can't just fail and try again. You have to fail forward, right? So like fail, learn, like ruminate on it, and then adjust and try again.
There you go. Adjust. That's it. You making small little changes here.
Right.
But the changes that you're making, you're going up and you're being better. So yeah, it's a win, right?
A couple of quotes that you said, and you repeated these too, but I just want to, because I thought they were so strong. Like I still have them written on my whiteboard. You said we're in a generation of sharing.
Yeah.
And a lot of influencers are successful because they're sharing their process.
Right.
I spoke with a fantastic kind of guru of the trades, I think, and his name is Al Levy. And he wrote this book called The 7-Power Contractor, which is like a bunch of processes for scaling your home service or contracting company. And he, in his book, and we talked about this on the podcast, he talks about knowledge pigs. And that's his term for them, not my term, his term. But I'll use it. So he calls out exactly what you're saying, which is people who are going, oh, I can't teach anyone else what I know because my value is knowing the stuff. And what you're saying is true, not just about for you, but also for our generation is no. If you keep that for yourself, we won't value you.
Right. Let's take a pause right there.
Yeah.
Right. We will not value. If you're hoarding information and you're the only one with that knowledge, we're not going to tap in with you, because we don't trust you at that point.
Yes.
Because you'll post something and say, this is how you do it. But we know you're skipping steps. You're not giving us everything. So, I just got a direct message from another pool guy. He was like, man, I love your content, but the only problem I have is you're giving away too much information. You're going to kill the industry. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I said, I'm not going to kill the industry. I said, if you're a low level pool guy that just comes into the backyard, skim the top and leave, yeah, you should be afraid.
Right.
If you're a professional, you do things at a high level and you treat your customers great, you're not going to lose any, because I'm not losing any business. I'm gaining business.
Yes.
From this. So don't, and I told him, I said, man, don't have a scarcity mindset when it comes to that. I'm not killing anybody's industry. This is what the reason I found the success is that people have been begging for this.
Yes.
And the reason how I realized that, because I will go to a pool store, they'll take in their sample of water, and the pool store employee will give them a list of things to do. They're spending $600, $700, and then they say, hey, see you next time.
Right.
And then they're just looking so overwhelmed on like what to do. Even when they have all these instructions, it just doesn't make sense to them. And that's where it was like, I was like, man, this it gotta be a better way. than this, man. Because all these people have pools, and most of these people are coming into the pool store are taking care of their own pool. So and they all just look so like overwhelmed after they get all this stuff. Don't know all the they just don't know. So I'm like, you know what? I could change that. Let me go ahead and do that. And that's where me giving out all, I call it, I'm giving out all the sauce. Mm-hmm. And this is what it is. Like, this is how I keep my pools pristine. You want to be like me? Do step A, B, and C. Boom. Just like that.
Man, one of the things that I that's awesome. One of the things that I constantly am reminded about when I talk to people like you who are so open about this stuff is that, again, like the value is not in, because I've watched most of your videos, I think, and I've looked at that, and I've cleaned pools in my life, right? Like, not professionally, and now that I've actually watched someone professional clean a pool, I'm like, oh, I was way off. So thankfully, I didn't get paid very much because I wasn't worth very much. But the more that I've watched, the more I went, why in the world would I try to be good at what this guy is clearly excellent at? Mm-hmm. What it showcases to me is, you know your shit, and I'm going to call you. Not that I'm going to take what I watched and go, oh, cool, now I can do it. Like, maybe if I have to, I can be like, I can get by until I can call Mark.
Right.
But otherwise, I'm just going to be like, sweet, you've proven to me that you're excellent at this. Why am I going to waste my time trying to be as good as you are already at it? I'm just going to have you do it.
Right. All right.
Okay. Well, one of the things, I think this plays right into this. I want to ask another marketing question in a minute, but I want to play into this, which is, you talk a lot about, and consistently, you're very consistent in this, which is this sort of personal ownership. I mean, even that like cycle of failing forward, there's so much personal ownership in being willing to recognize a mistake on your own, to actually grow, to put in the time to learning. Like, tell me more about just this concept for you, and how you, just tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it actually stemmed from me being in corporate America since I've been 15, right? I worked at, Foot Action first. Then from Foot Action, I went to Foot Locker. Then I went to, I've always been in sales. So to Apple, to the car business, to enterprise, like all this stuff. And it really, the ownership thing really kicked in for me when I was at the car dealership, and it didn't go, something went wrong, and with the money, and I wasn't getting paid all I should have got paid. And I ended up like, man, I'm providing all this value to y'all, and y'all don't want to pay me. So I quit that job. And that was like the first sour taste in my mouth. And I was like, man, I don't like to give anybody else that much power over me providing for my family. That's like the main thing, like providing for my family. So that's where it started. And then when I got fired from Enterprise, it was just like, man, like, the all this stuff I did for the company, in my mind was, I could have got written up for that, but y'all let me go. And it was just like, you know what? I'm never going to give anybody that power over me ever again. And that's where, when I had my mind made up, that's where the ownership really took over. So I would listen to, podcasts. I would listen to motivational speeches, just all this stuff, just constantly putting that information in my mind. Like, you could do it. You have everything inside of you to get it done. You could do it. So after the Enterprise thing didn't work out, I didn't go straight to pools. I was Ubering and lifting so I could make money. I was driving from 2 a.m. to 11 a.m. 5 days a week. My main goal was, if I could make $160 every single day, I can still maintain this type of living. So I just did the calculations with, okay, I'm making $20 to $25 an hour. These are the best time to drive because it's not traffic early in the morning. I'm in a party type city, so people are always up going around, needing rides back here, going to the airport. So I figured out the pattern for my Uber and Lyft rides. And so that was my first deal of being in control, because nobody told me when I had to be at work. I was getting paid on my own and off of my own hard work. And that's where it took over. And then when COVID hit, I had to stop driving, because I didn't want to put my family at risk.
Right.
And then that's where the pool thing took off. I was like, you know what? I'm already cleaning 6 pools. Let me just go ahead, take this thing serious. And then that's when when it really made sense for me, when I got official with the state, got my LLC, got everything booked up, got my tax ID number and all that. And then when I made my logo, when I partnered with my guy, I went to college with, and it took about a month to make this logo, because I said I don't want to make just a company name like Blue Street Pools into some corny swimming guy or something like that. I'm like, no, I want something that I can wear every single day. Like, if you see this hat, you don't see any Blue Street Pools on this, but you see this logo.
Yep.
And this logo is pretty dope. And it's a B, a S, and a P all in one.
Yep.
So, it was just one of those things where it's like, once I saw this, that's when it got real. Once I put that shirt on, I was like, oh yeah, you're an owner now. And then from there, I just never looked back from there. So it was just honestly, the ownership thing was, I just didn't want to give anybody else the power to take money take money away from my family. And I said, I got to be in control of this. And I have all the attributes to do that. So why not do it? Why not take a chance on yourself? And that's when it took about 2 years to get, it took about 2 to 3 years to get to where I'm at now. This didn't happen overnight. I've been grinding. But that's where it was just the mindset is, I'm not going back to work for anybody else. That was the foundation. And I promised myself that, and I was committed to that, and I just stayed consistent with what I was doing, so that's where it all came from.
So I work with a guy now regularly, and I'm really going to get to work with him a lot more starting in July. I'm really excited about it. His name is Mondo Davison, and his whole identity, starting like 7 or 8 years ago, he was like, I'm going to be the black tech guy in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I should say also St. Paul. So maybe Twin Cities is right. But he did exactly right. So now he has a shirt that says the black tech guy, and he wears it every single day. He's got like 30 of them. And I'm just like, that level of personal, just like, I own this. It's who I am. This is what I'm about. And you just, that same energy so much just now. And like, people like me are really inspired by that.
Wow.
So just so you know, like, yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I mean, it's one of my favorite things about him. And just like hearing you say that again just now, I'm just like, that is a dude you want to be around. That's a dude you want to have out in front of you, like, that you get to watch them do stuff, because they so own who they are and what they're about, that like you can really learn from that just watching them. And so now I have to turn this question to growth and hiring.
Right.
Because on one hand, you are so owning who you are. I love that you have this swag, by the way. I think it's awesome. And it looks cool too. But so now you've talked about this transition from, you've had these jobs, you had this moment of really taking ownership. You've grown in that over the last few years. This is who you are. And now you're facing this conundrum of going, I do want to grow this thing. So now I technically would have to hire someone else. How will you teach them about this idea of ownership? Because you're technically hiring a person, right? So how will you take what you dealt with and try to change that, or be different, or teach the person that you're hiring?
So, once I start to hire, it was going to be next season. I'll have employees working for me next season. I'm going to be preaching freedom. Mm-hmm. So when I say preaching freedom is, hey, you have you have, let's just say 7 pools a day, 5 days a week. It's up to you when you want to start your route. As long as you're done by the sun is down, I don't care what time you start. It's up to you. You can start at 6 a.m. You can start at 11 a.m. But as long as you get these 7 pools done, that's all I'm concerned about. So my thing is, actually have taken people, like had them help me in real time. Like actually in the wintertime, I actually showed this guy who actually worked at the pool store. I said, man, I like your energy. You already know water chemistry. Let me show you what we do on our end, and I'll pay you. I'll pay you just so give you an insight of what it is. And we knocked out 12 pools in 5 hours.
Wow.
And I paid him $10 a pool. You do the math.
Yeah.
In 5 hours,
right.
I'm putting $120. I'm putting $120 in your hand. Yeah. At the end of the day. So if you calculate that up, you divide 120 by 5, you're making way more than what you're making at your job right now. And you're not even working, that you're not putting in 8 to 10 hours. So my thing is, I'm going to show them that, hey, you can still have a work-life balance and make possibly more money than what you were already making. So that's what I'm going to be. That's going to be like my pitch. But at the same time, it's going to be like, hey, I'm actually teaching you a trade. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of pools out here. And if you ever moved or whatever, you always know that you can always make money going back to this. So it's a win-win on both sides. So, and I want to teach them ownership, because the thing about it is, there's so many pools out here that it's enough for everybody. And what separates me from most guys, and because there are guys and girls out here who own their own companies in New Orleans, is there's not many, if any, that actually cleans above ground pools. And I told myself, once I started to hear that in the industry, like in New Orleans, like, yeah, these people aren't cleaning above ground pools. And I'm just sitting back like, why? Right. Why not? It's still a body of water. Like, it's okay. Yeah, you may have to reach over to clean it, but you telling me you don't want to do it. So my thing is, okay, y'all don't want to take it. I'm doing in-ground and above ground pools. And the results are going to be exactly the same. Right. Now, the person who may have bought the pool from Sam's or from Walmart or whatever. I mean, I'm not talking about a blow-up pool, but I'm talking about a pool that has a motor and all this type of stuff. Okay, I can take that on. I mean, what I'll have to do, I may have to upgrade your system for about $400 to get you where you need to be. But once I upgrade that filter system, you're going to be good. And you're going to enjoy your pool, and you're going to have memories in your backyard because of your pool. Your pool's not going to be a burden. You're not going to hate your pool. So now with that type of mindset, I have in-ground and above ground pools. So when I say there's pools out here for everybody, man, if you wanted to stop working for me today and start your own route to get your own freedom, you can take on above ground pools. I'm not worried about it, because one thing about me is, if I'm not putting other people in position to succeed, what am I doing this for? What am I doing? I found my success. Let me give that to somebody else so they can duplicate it. And if you wanted to stay working for me, that's fine. And what I find out is, if I'm giving away all that information and all that freedom, people are going to be loyal to me because of that. Yeah. Because I want to see you succeed personally. And because honestly, Nathan, everybody's not an entrepreneur. No. So I'm not worried about somebody coming in, learning my process and starting their business. Everybody's not built like this. So, I'm not really that concerned about you being competition to me, because at the end of the day, I don't see anybody as competition. You're just doing your thing. I'm doing my thing. We can all win over here. So when it comes down to employees and growth, I think that's the direction I'm going to go in and it's just going to be fun. Working for me is going to be fun. We're going to have fun. We're going to do it, and you're going to make a lot of money while you're doing it. So, everybody's going to be happy. And that's honestly, that's what I want. I just want to see other people succeed like I succeeded. And I got the blueprint to the pool, clear to the pools, and let's just duplicate that, and let's really take over the whole city.
That's awesome. Well, and I love what you're saying too about like, hey, we just even in that sort of system of going, how are we going to manage it? We're going to manage it at the very ground level. You have X jobs to do, get them done, the end, right? Like, here's your system, here's your responsibilities. Get out there whenever you want, right? Like, I'm not gonna watchdog you.
I'm not gonna micromanage you, because if I have to micromanage you, you're not gonna work for me.
Right.
Like, my thing is, and I heard this in a pod, I don't know which podcast I heard it in, but it said, hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, if I see that, you're not on that same mindset, I'm not gonna keep you on a team. Like, okay, it's been fun. I gave you an opportunity. I need somebody who really wants this. And that's where we're gonna be the pristine. We're gonna be the premier pool company in this city in the next 3 years. Like, anybody who thinks about pools is gonna say, okay, Blue Street Pools first. And then if I can't get to them, then what's next? That's the whole goal. Because like you said about earlier, you said about systems that are in place. I have a system that when I go in the backyard, there's 7 to 8 things that you need to do. And you do that in every single backyard. So you're not gonna guess about anything. Right. It's all on the app. You check it off. When you're done, you take the picture, you calculate whatever you need to calculate with your levels and add whatever you need to add, but you do not have to guess. As you go in the backyard, you do the job, boom, next. Backyard, do the job, next. And honestly, Nathan, I'm in a backyard literally from anywhere to 5 to 25 minutes, and I'm done.
Yep.
And I'm done. So I can, yes, can I cram 20 pools in one day? I probably can, but will I? No. That's too much. You know what I'm saying? I think a good number is like 10 to 12, and I'll be good to go, man. So, but yeah, it's a process thing, and I believe in processes.
Well, that's awesome. I have a book that I'm going to send you, I'm going to make sure that Dave, if you're listening, remind me to add that to my notes. Thanks, Dave. Dave is my podcast producer.
Okay. What's up, Dave?
He's the coolest. When you think, so I want to ask you basically, I call this a 1, 2, 3, and this will be the sort of the last set of stuff that we get into here. But 1, 2, 3 is going to be like a book, partners, and predictions. And let me set this up for just a little bit. So partners, you explained something to me just now that I'm trying to say to people, right? Like, regularly, collaboration is more powerful than competition. Now, you can't always find it, but if you can, it's awesome. You mentioned earlier about like starting one way and then sort of branching into some of the other stuff that you do. But realistically, there's probably still a decent amount of work either before, right? Like, you're not installing the pool. And so a question that I want to ask you, and we'll get down there, but I want to tee this up by giving this concept, which is like, I asked Zach Osherman as a painter, I was like, who are the best partners, right? Who are the other contracting companies that you should have on speed dial so that when that homeowner has a problem, because what you're saying too is you're providing homeowners, people who own their pools, you're providing a value to them. You're giving them the ability to have those memories. You're not, right? And so you want that person to be happy, not just with your service, but in general, you want to make sure they're taken care of, right? And so I'm going to ask that, but that's what I mean by partners is like, who's the other guy, whether that's an installer or whether that's another pool company who does something different than you do, or whether that's like an electrician or whatever. Who are those guys that you think that every pool company should have on speed dial when the homeowner has a problem, and they're super common? So I'm going to get back to that in just a second, but I wanted to tee that up mentally for you. So before that, I want to ask you. So I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 1 book that people should read to help them grow their businesses.
Um, um, the author who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. He has Kawasaki, I think is his
Guy Kawasaki, I think.
He has not the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, but he has another book. His follow up book to the I got it. I haven't read it in about 2 years, but this actually changed the way I thought about processes. Hold on, Rob. Let's see. I want to give the name of this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad series, Cash Flow Quadrant.
Yes.
Cash Flow Quadrant. That book changed my life when it comes to the way I think about business, because there's 4 quadrants that you put yourself in. You 1, you're an employee. 2, you're self-employed. 3, you're an entrepreneur, and 4, you're an investor. So pretty much you're moving yourself to different quadrants. So you start off as an employee working for money, right? And then you move yourself to self-employed. You're still working for money, but you work for yourself. You have to move where you really make money and make the most out of your business is when you can remove yourself from the business and it's on autopilot.
Yep.
And you have to have a system in place to do that.
Yep.
So right now where I'm moving from self-employed to full entrepreneur, where I can leave my business for 90 days and come back and I still have a business. Because if I leave my business now for 90 days, I ain't gonna have no business in 3 months. So right now I'm going from self-employed to entrepreneur, and then from entrepreneur, that's where I can start investing and pretty much stop trading my time for money. So that book taught me all about processes and systems and how important they are if you really want to enjoy your personal life, to be able to take a trip with your family and not worry about, anything, so that's the book that I would recommend, Cash Flow Quadrant.
Fantastic. Okay.
And it's an easy read too.
Yeah.
I read it in like 4 days.
Nice. Okay. 2 partners you'd recommend any pool guy have.
Okay. 2 partners I recommend any pool guy to have is the manager at their local pool store. That is one of the most important guys or girls to have a relationship with, because their knowledge of pools is where, if you don't know the answer, 9 times out of 10, they're going to know the answer. And that's honestly where I got the confidence to start my business, because I knew the manager at the pool store when I was just a guy that owned a pool, and I was going to him for information. So I knew he had the information. So a manager at a pool store, and if you don't do any type of, like, if you're not really well versed in repairs and stuff like that, I would say get a strong relationship with somebody who knows how to install like new motors, new salt systems, filters and things like that. So you need a repair guy, and you need the pool store manager. Those 2 that's honestly the key to my success when it comes down to how I've grown so much. Those 2 relationships that I've had, it's really got me to the point where I'm at today. And the repair guy, honestly, I actually paid him a whole summer. I paid him to learn from the repair. So I wasn't just asking for help. I said, man, look, I have these pools. Now I'm getting these problems with motors and stuff. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I want to pay you your full rate. Whatever that is, you charge me that, I'll charge a customer that, but I'm learning in the process. So now I have repair knowledge, and I know how to do most repairs now because of that one summer that I invested in learning. And I wasn't even worried about the money, because I said, I'm going to make way more just off of this summer learning this knowledge, but somebody has to teach me. So I had to provide value. Like, I'm not going to waste your time. I don't want just help. Let me put some money in your pocket at the same time. Whatever your rate is, I don't care. I'm going to pay it, but I'm going to pay it with the learning aspect in it. So I'm telling you, I'm going to pay you, but I'm going to be at every one of these jobs looking over your shoulder to learn. So yeah, so those are the two people.
Awesome. And then 3 is 3 predictions. So 1 in each of these areas. 1 prediction on marketing, and we'll stick to pool specifically. What's 1 prediction for the rest of the year and maybe in the year 2022, if we can think that far forward at this point? Time feels like compressed for me for for a little while. But what's 1 prediction you'd make for next year that you would go, marketing is going to look like this for us, you guys?
Yeah. Mark, for me, I've been thinking about this for a few years now, is I'm going to go to billboards and buses. So, putting my company name, wrapping it around a bus, wrapping it around a billboard, putting it on a billboard, going that route, because New Orleans is so small. Honestly, New Orleans is one big circle.
Yeah.
It's one big, if you look at the freeways and the interstates, it's one big circle. So eventually somebody's going to pass that billboard. Somebody's going to see that bus. They're going to run into it. It's not a huge market. So that's where I'm going marketing wise by next summer, because I didn't do it this year because I was like, I don't want to put it up and I can't handle these phone calls. But I went viral. So now I'm still in the same position. I can't handle all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But once I get a team involved, it'll be, the tagline, I want to say, hey, we do in ground and above ground. Like that's going to be the kicker right there, because I know no other pool companies are doing above ground. So I know I'm going to get calls from that phrase right there. So yeah, billboards and buses is where I'm going to go marketing wise next summer.
Fascinating. I love the idea that you're viral on TikTok and you're thinking about billboards. I still tell people that they should consider, we just got a piece of direct mail stuff in the mail like yesterday and I kept it. I was like, oh yeah, this is because it was actually useful. And so I don't think any marketing thing is dead. It's just about where you should be going and where your customers' eyeballs are, right? So I love it. Another prediction on hiring. So for this year and next year, I know you're focused on hiring for next season, and we are in the trades and home services have been talking about basically a hiring shortage for as long as I've been alive. But now it's especially poignant, right? Like it's constant, it's everywhere, and it's not just in home services or contracting or trades. Now it's everywhere. I have my own theories about that, but I want to hear from you. What's a prediction about hiring for the rest of this year and for next season, for 2022 from you?
As far as hiring goes, for me in particular, I really feel like I'm not going, I don't want to say that. I don't feel like it's going to be a hard sell, hire somebody to work for me in my company. Just because of one, that they don't know this yet, but first it's the process that's already in place. You don't have to guess. 2, it's the work environment that you're going to be working in. You're going to be working for somebody, not to toot my own horn, but everybody wants to work with somebody that everybody knows. Say I work for Blue Street Pools, the guy, easy, all that, so the work environment is going to be fun, because I came from the car business. I know how to I was a sales manager when I was 24. So I know how to get people riled up and people ready and motivated and ready to go kill the day. Right. But predictions for hiring, I don't feel like I'm gonna have a hard time with that, because at the same time, and this is something that, is going to happen very soon, is I'm going to be taking on, seniors in high school, guys that are fresh in college. I'm going to be doing internships. You're going to work beside me, and I'm going to show you that, hey, you could be doing this and you could be making way more money and learning at the same time, and you can be a business owner at the same time. So I'm taking younger guys under my wing to show them that, hey, there's another way that you can get it. You know, you don't have to do it this way. You can do it this way. So I think the aspect of, you know, me being one involved with the community is going to make people want to be a part of what I've built. And that's the big sale. I don't, it's not going to be, you know, I don't want anybody to say, hey, I work for Blue Street Pool. It's going to be, hey man, I work with them. You know, this is a thing that we're all doing together for the greater good, for not just the pools, but for people. Like I want to give people opportunities and give them another way of doing things, and just show them, hey, you can really do this the way you want to do it on your own time, but you got to just be consistent. That's the piece that's going to separate you from everybody else, is consistency. And you can do it your way. I do everything my way, even to my shorts. I go in the backyard and I got funky shorts. I wear a different pair of shorts every day, but that's my style. Right. And can't nobody knock that, especially if I'm coming in your backyard and I'm doing what I'm doing. You're not going to care what I wear, you know? And that's where the whole idea came from. It was like, hey, if I'm providing this high level of service, you don't have to accept my shorts, my pink shorts that I walk into your backyard with. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And if there's a basketball goal in your backyard, I might shoot a shot before I go. Like, you know, that's like, we're having fun over here. Like, but we're not disrespectful, but we're just having a great time, you know? And I want people to enjoy it.
That's hilarious. I've noticed the shorts in all of your TikTok videos, right? As I've been watching them, I was like, this dude knows what's going on. Okay. And then finally, one prediction on just pool cleaning. Where do you think that pool cleaning will go? I suspect that it's going to keep getting hotter and colder. But for the next year, for the rest of this year, for the next year, where do you suspect pool cleaning will be headed? Do you think there will be anything that changes? Do you think it'll hold the same?
No. Automation is happening right now. Automation where you can control everything from your phone. You know, they already have systems in place where, you know, there's pool vacuums that you can actually control from your phone. You don't have to wake up and turn that thing on. You get on your phone, it's connected to the Wi-Fi, you turn it on, it starts to vacuum. You know, they have systems already in place where you can actually, you know, control your motor from your phone. So the technology is going to take over the pool industry, but it's still going to be a need for guys and girls like me to come in your backyard and clean the pool. But it's going to get to the point where the more technology that comes out when it comes to pool cleaning, it's going to eventually be where the homeowner has enough things on automatic where they can take care of their own pool. And that's where it's going, because they already have, you know, chlorine feeders that will, if they notice that your chlorine level is low, it's going to dispense some chlorine to your pool without your knowledge. So your pool is always going to be balanced. So stuff like that is already happening. But when you need the pool vacuum and all that stuff is still going to be around. So the service industry isn't going anywhere, but adapting to the technology and talking about the technology to the customers and selling your customers on the new technology is where is honestly where my company is going to go. I'm only going to be talking about the new stuff, because all this new stuff is going to make my job easier.
Yeah.
Instead of being in your backyard for 25 minutes, I'll be in your backyard for 5 minutes and I'm out. You see what I'm saying? So the automation is what's happening right now in the pool industry. So that's where it's going. And, hopefully people adapt, because I'm definitely going to adapt to the whole change. I'm about changing for the better. I'm all about that. So
we're just going to end up working for you. That's fine. You just stay out in front, dude.
Right.
Just be the tip of the spear. We'll follow behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to wrap it up because you've given me way more than I deserve. But as I shut it down here, I do want to plug, not that you need any more followers on TikTok, but I still want to give you a shout out. where can people find Mark Jones and Blue Street Pools?
All right, this you can find Mark Jones and Blue Street Pools a couple ways. You can follow me on TikTok, Pool Pro MJ. That's my name on TikTok. You can follow me on Instagram, Pool Pro MJ on Instagram, but the pro has a 0 instead of the actual O because somebody took my name when I went viral.
Oh,
And
snap.
they took my name, so I had to change it. So I've been reporting that page, but they still up. But still Pool Pro MJ on social media. And if you want to go on my website, bluestreetpools.com.
Fantastic. And for anybody, I mean, like, I know I already said this, but I have like watched most of the TikTok stuff that Mark has on, and it's awesome. Like, I showed that 3-minute long, like, here's how you take a green pool to a blue, and like, I think we watched it like 3 times and showed like a dozen of our friends or whatever. Like, it really is fantastic content. So check out Mark. Mark, thank you so much for being a guest on Home Service Leaders today. It's been freaking awesome to have you.
Appreciate you, man.
Awesome. And we're out.